like to go to court again and again to prove that you're not involved in a life of drugs and prostitution. Lisa Greenlee says for 5 years, that's what she's had to do, in part because police aren't taking all of the steps they should to check someone else's true identity.
Oh, I remember.
Sadly, the judges in Detroit's 36th District Court are all too familiar with Lisa Greenlee.
She's convinced that the defendant is the victim of identity theft, therefore the city's moving to dismiss the violation.
This 27-year-old says someone else is using her identity, but this isn't your typical case of a criminal trying to use Lisa's financial information. This identity thief is using Lisa's name when police issue prostitution and drug-related tickets.
It's absolutely horrible.
At one point, Lisa's driver's license even got suspended because of drug tickets that had nothing to do with her. You didn't have your license for 9 months.
9 months because of one person.
That one person isn't a stranger to Lisa. The person police say is using her identity is Lisa's own cousin, 27-year-old Susan Lee Greenlee. The trouble started back in 2004 in Royal Oak. Wanting to hide the fact that she was on parole for a home invasion conviction, Lisa says Susan would give officers Lisa's name and date of birth when Susan got pulled over. Lisa spent a huge amount of time and money taking time off work to prove to Royal Oak police that Susan was the one they were really after. Court records show Susan also used Lisa's name with police in Ferndale and Hazel Park. So former Oakland County prosecutor Dave Gorsuga prosecuted Susan Greenlee, and she pleaded guilty to felony identity theft. But once Susan got out of prison, Lisa says new tickets for soliciting prostitution, loitering, and being in possession of narcotic paraphernalia started showing up at her door. In all, 8 tickets from Detroit arrived from 2007 to 2008.
Can't even focus on studies or anything sometimes because there's another court date, and like a week before the court date, I can barely eat. I feel sick.
Lisa put a flag on her driver's license with the Secretary of State, which means any officer who is given her name has to ask the person for a special password to prove identity. But even though Lisa put that safeguard in place, Detroit police still couldn't get it right and issued several tickets for Susan in Lisa's name.
If somebody does not have a driver's license, you don't just give them a ticket, you know, because it may just be 5 minutes out of your time. But 5 years out of mine. It's not fair.
Lisa finally had to hire attorney Gerard Gilbo to help clear her name.
I've just never heard of a case with this many criminal charges in different jurisdictions over such a long period of time.
Gilbo says Lisa filed 3 different identity theft police reports with Detroit, but they never requested a warrant for Susan Greenlee. Since this isn't a violent crime per se, it gets a low priority. But that's very frustrating.
The detective never got back to me. I made a couple appointments with him, but he would never show.
Once the Action News investigators stepped in, the wheels of justice finally started to move a bit faster. Detroit police did not want to talk to me on camera, but after I called them about this, their detective finally requested a warrant on identity theft and obstruction of justice charges for Susan Greenlee. Lisa desperately wants to see Susan locked up for the maximum sentence.
Maybe she'll think twice this time, and maybe in a way I'll be saving her life, getting her out of the streets.
Once again, Detroit police say Susan Greenlee has been charged with identity theft and obstruction of justice, which means she's facing at least 10 years behind bars. Of course, I wanted to talk to Susan about all of this, but guess what? She's locked up for something else right now, so she wasn't available. I'm Heather Catallo, Channel 7 Action News.